At 80 years old, I feel like I've learned so much about life. However, there's one decision I regret. Moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family reassured me that I would get the care and comfort I needed. They convinced me, and I believed them. But when I arrived there, reality was far different than I had imagined. Perhaps some of you are considering this same step, whether for yourself or a loved one. Maybe you feel it's the safest option, or maybe you think it's what's best for the future. But before you make such a big decision, I want to share a few lessons I've learned. Lessons that, had I known them sooner, might have changed everything. Regret 1. Losing control over my own life. The first thing that shocked me was how much control I lost over my own life. Before moving, I could decide when to wake up, eat whenever I wanted, or simply sit in my favorite chair reading a book. I was free to set my own routine. But at the nursing home, everything is scheduled. Even going for a walk requires waiting for assistance. Simple decisions I could make on my own have now become things I feel like I need permission for. I remember my first week there, I woke up and tried to reach for the book I used to read at home. But as I looked around, I realized, this isn't my home. This room isn't mine. My favorite chair isn't here, and the comfort I once had is gone. I felt as though my life wasn't mine anymore. If you're considering moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to lose the little freedoms you've enjoyed? Once they're gone, you'll long for them more than you think. Regret 2. Feeling forgotten and left behind. The second thing that was hard to accept was how I started to feel forgotten. My family promised to visit often, and in the beginning, they did. But over time, those visits became less frequent. My son called more often than he came to see me. My grandchildren were busy with school and work. When holidays came around, they promised to visit, but often their plans fell through. I found myself sitting alone, hoping someone would come see me that day. It wasn't that my family didn't care, but their lives continued to move forward without me. Life outside kept going, while I became more and more isolated. The longer I stayed there, the more I felt like an outsider. If you decide to move into a nursing home, think about whether you're ready for that loneliness. Once you're far from your loved ones, it's easy to feel forgotten. Regret 3. Losing a sense of purpose. When I lived at home, every day had a purpose. There was a routine, responsibilities. Watering the plants, cooking, even just cleaning the house gave my life meaning. But in the nursing home, all of that disappeared. Everything was done for me. At first I thought this would be nice, no more housework, no more obligations. But after a few weeks, I began to feel empty. My days felt long and meaningless. I saw this in my friends too. Mr. Adams, a retired carpenter who used to be active, now just sat waiting for time to pass. His once skilled hands now lay lifeless in his lap. I could feel it too. Losing a sense of purpose makes us feel useless. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life purpose? Because once it's gone, life can feel less meaningful. Regret 4. Health declining faster than expected. Before I moved, although my body was no longer young, I could still walk, cook, and take care of my health. But after moving into the nursing home, everything changed. Meals came at set times, and I no longer needed to cook or move much. But I quickly realized that the lack of movement sped up my decline. My muscles became stiff, my body weakened. I saw this in my friends too. Those who once moved freely were now reliant on wheelchairs. The health I once had control over was now neglected. If you decide to move, think about whether you're ready to lose your strength, because the longer you remain inactive, the faster your body will weaken. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. At home, I had my own space. I could decide what I wanted to do, when I wanted to be alone, or engage in small activities that brought me joy. But in the nursing home, that privacy vanished. Every activity is under supervision. Even simple things like taking a shower or using the bathroom require assistance, and sharing a room with someone else only adds to the discomfort. Here I feel more like a patient than a person with dignity. If you decide to move, think about your privacy and dignity. Once it's gone, it's incredibly hard to regain. Regret 6. Harder to go back to the life I once had. When I first moved, I thought this was just temporary. I thought if I didn't like it, I could always go back home. But the reality is, leaving the nursing home is much harder than I expected. My house was empty, and my children were planning to sell it. My body had become frailer. I realized I could no longer live independently as I once did. I've met many people who felt the same. They thought they were just trying it out, but they could never return. After spending so much time here, the outside world seemed distant and out of reach. You must think carefully. Are you ready for the reality that once you enter, leaving isn't as easy as you think? Conclusion. I don't regret growing old, but I regret believing that the nursing home was the only option. If I could do it over again, I would have fought harder to stay in my home, keeping my freedom and my routine. I would have found ways to live with more appropriate help, without surrendering the freedoms and privacy I had grown accustomed to. If you're facing this decision, ask yourself, is this truly what's best for you? Because the life you have now, the routines, freedoms, and choices you make are incredibly precious. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this useful, please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. I hope this story helps you make a more informed decision.